Hi friends, and welcome back to my channel, and welcome to a special sort of video. I want to say this already, this video is 110% inspired by Gavin from How to Train Your Gavin. Of course I will link him, all the kudos goes to him. I know this is a ripoff, I just felt very inspired to do it myself. Because basically, what I will be doing or attempting to do in this video is solving Agatha Christie murder mysteries. We have a different setup, we have a different approach with the mic, we'll see how it goes. I wanted to do the handheld mic approach because I thought it would look professional. I don't think it is, but we will go with this for now. I have two books I plan on reading in this vlog. I plan on reading Murder on the Orient Express and also Death on the Nile. And the thing is, I've never read either one of these books, and I might have seen snippets from shows and movies of these books, but I don't really remember a single thing about them. So despite the fact that these are the two most popular Agatha Christie mysteries, I actually don't know who the culprit is. I feel like I went straight into this video without any context, but you're figuring it out. Basically, in this video, I will be reading these books and aiming to solve these mysteries and figure out who the culprit is before it's revealed in the book. Gavin has done multiple of these videos and he has done them so well with in the correct setting and with the right outfit and all of that. I don't really have any of that. I have this phone acting as a mic and I have two black boards. Is that chalkboards? I don't know what to call them. I also have chalk somewhere. I would attempt to write my notes on these chalkboards that I've placed where I could put them. My plan is to start with Murder on the Orient Express because chronologically it was released before Death on the Nile. Also, if you're wondering, I have the Swedish translations of these books. I am very excited about these mysteries, but I'm also prepared to feel stupid AF. I like to consider myself as a smart person. I like to think that I'm smart and have a logical mind. But then when we get to puzzles and mysteries and stuff like that, I'm either incredible at them or I am dumb as hell. And I'm worried that this time I'm gonna be dumb as hell in front of you guys. I'm not certain how to set this up. How should I do with the chalkboards? Should I have a suspects list, a sus list? I might have a sus list. I'm also gonna highlight and tab and a bunch of that stuff. And I will also update you with vlog clips regarding my conclusions and theories and all of that. Let's try and write something on one of these boards. How do I do this with a handheld mic? I don't know. Can I put you here? Sus. Okay, yeah. This is my sus list. I'm gonna talk about people I think are sus. Murder on the Orient Express, Death on the Nile. I have chalkboards. I have a handheld mic, which is actually a phone. And we're gonna do this. Are we ready to dive into this? Because I am. I better start reading then. See ya. Hi, so I've read just a couple of more chapters, not much. I'm on what page am I on? 84. But Poirot did make an investigation of the crime scene and we got some clues from that. So we're gonna have a look at what's going on there. Basically, they went to the crime scene where Ratchet is still lying there murdered. He was there together with the doctor that examined him, and what did they figure out? As we know, the man was stabbed multiple times, but what's interesting is that some of the deeper wounds didn't really cause any bleeding, which makes them believe that he was already dead when he got some of the stab wounds, which made me start to think that perhaps one person killed him and then someone else also wanted to kill him and didn't know that the man was already dead or something. They also observed that some of the stabs must have been done by someone who's left-handed, while some of the other stabs were done by another person that's right-handed. That's their theory, at least. So a lot of things are leaning towards it being two people, but it's almost too convenient now, because they also find a bunch of clues. They find matches and notice that the matches are different from the ones that Mr. Ratchet uses. So they have found matches. They found a handkerchief. They found like a pipe cleaner. So like one very female clue and one very male clue, which is like, is someone setting it up to make it seem like there was one male and one female who did the deed? And Poirot also joins me. I feel like me and Poirot are like on the same page here. I thought that instantly, and in the next page he mentions it as well. Like, it's too convenient, like having one female, one male clue. Everything is like right in front of you. We also learned that the reason Mr. Ratchet didn't really make any fuss about getting murdered basically is because he was drugged. So someone drugged him. Yes, it's convenient that it's two people, but it still could be two people. I'm not certain though. It also seems like Mr. Ratchet's like arm watch got a hit when the murder occurred and stopped working. And it stopped at 1:15, which we already kind of knew because we knew that the murder occurred between 12 and 2 a.m. The thing with matches is that they were used to burn like a letter or something, and Poirot manages to sort of recover parts of the letter, and he reads some named Daisy Armstrong, which makes him believe that Mr. Ratchet is actually someone called Cassetti, and that's why he wanted to leave America and stuff. And there's like a bunch of background history regarding, or not a bunch, but like there's some background history about him being a suspect for like a kidnapping of a young girl, and a lot of people died because of this, so on, so on. I don't really care that much, to be fair. How does that help us? Well, we haven't really had any of the witnesses or interviews or anything like that yet. Are we still on the two murder train though? I don't know. So I'm gonna make this exclamation point a question mark instead. What more do we know? I'm gonna go to the notes one. Mr. Ratchet, 0 to 2 a.m. Okay, let's do 1:15 to be exact. Where does things go now? Okay, we're gonna put it here. Left-handed, question mark, and then flat matches. This isn't really helping you at all. I know it isn't, but it's nice to try and figure it out. I don't think I'm gonna add that much more to the boards now actually, because it's not gonna do anything. I think I need to focus on reading, and perhaps when I reach the halfway point I can make an update instead of making an update every 20 pages. I'm on page 84. Hopefully I will read a bit tonight, so let's aim for like around halfway point. I will join you again with some more theories when I've actually spoken, or I guess when Poirot has spoken to some more people. Sorry about the light, I'm just gonna do this quickly, but I'm about halfway, reached page 140, so that looks good. And I think we have some more clues. We're starting to get like discussions with the passengers and such. Mrs. Hubbard mentioned that there was like a button to a shirt she found in her room, because she suspects that the murder actually went into her room first. And the button belongs to like the conductor's jacket. So they ask one of the conductors, but it's not his button. I'm starting to think that perhaps someone is attempting to plant evidence. I do have a feeling that the pipe is planted, the handkerchief because it had the letter H, and now the button as well, because it was very like obviously placed. Someone placed it on top of a magazine or something in Mrs. Hubbard's room. I feel like some of the evidence is actually getting planted. And it's not as important as they're trying to make us think. They had a conversation with, I don't know, like Countess? Something like that. Dragomirov. And they started to talk about the Armstrong family, the one that they think Ratchet sold out, like the one family whose kid was kidnapped and Mr. Ratchet was responsible for that. They're talking about that family, and apparently Dragomirov knew the Armstrongs, and she was close to, I believe it must have been the kidnapped child's mom, maybe. Either way, they ask where Mrs. Armstrong's sister is, and she says that she doesn't know, but she believes that she married some English man and moved to England. And this is actually making me suspect that perhaps we do have like an English couple here on this train. And we actually do have a case of it being a woman and a man, maybe. We then spoke to like the Count and Countess of Andrigny. Didn't really get much from there other than the fact that the Count is acting a bit suspicious because he doesn't really care about the murder, and he has admitted to smoking with a pipe and so on. I think it's all a setup. I feel like everything is planted. I don't really trust any reveals at the current moment because I know from watching previous Poirot things that things are always revealed in the end. You should focus on the small stuff and not the big stuff. So like the match. I'm looking out for sentences mentioning a match. I don't care about the pipe. I think that's planted. Same with the handkerchief. The button, I'm not entirely certain of, but I also do feel like that could be planted. I'm gonna head to bed now, but my head is spinning. Another thing, by the way, I've also read the conversation with a general maybe, or Mr. Arbuthnot. I think he's an Indian man who's on his way to England, and he stayed in Baghdad for a couple of days. And we have a Miss Debenham who also stayed in Baghdad for a few days, but they deny knowing each other before the train, although I don't buy that. I think they knew each other. Hi, I read 2 more chapters. I read 2 more questionings, basically. One was with an Italian and one was with a British woman. I'm not paying that much attention currently. I'm very tired. I haven't really slept so much this week, so I should really go to bed, but I also want to make progress in this. So I think I will read it, and as things get closer to the reveal, I will attempt to pay attention again and see what my mind remembered or not. I'm convinced that there's so much that's just being planted. Also, there was one thing. There was another detective at the train who was hired by Mr. Ratchet, and Mr. Ratchet described a man that is short, dark, and with a high voice, basically. And that's a description that does not fit anyone that's on the train. So once again, I feel like people are planting evidence or attempting to mislead the investigation. So I don't trust anything, basically. That's my conclusion. I don't trust a single thing anyone is saying. I trust Poirot to figure this one out. But I need to figure it out before him, though. So we're gonna see about that. But I'm gonna continue to read, see if my mind notices anything. And when it gets closer to the end, I will come with some updates. I'm at the office, but I have my lunch break and no one else is at the office. So I'm reading a bit, just to catch up. It's been a few days since my last update. But I just had a realization, which I feel so stupid about not coming to terms with sooner. One of the things with all of the stabs on Mr. Ratchet is that some of them look like they were made by someone who's left-handed. I guess I forgot about this or didn't think about this, and like Poirot was very good at asking people whether they smoked pipe or if they would prefer a cigarette, or like he was trying to get that out of them. But he also asked everyone to write down their names and addresses, and when doing that, he must have done it so that he could see where they wrote with their left or right hand. I don't think Agatha Christie has mentioned in the writing what hand they used, so I believe it's going to be one of the reveals regarding what hand they wrote with. So I believe that Poirot knows who's left and right-handed now. We as the readers don't know it yet, but Poirot definitely knows. I'm reading a bit more now, and we actually have a list provided by Poirot where he has summarized all of the passengers and the suspects and like what their motives could be and alibis and all of that. So gonna have a look through this one. I have about like soon 60 pages left, 64 pages. I need to start to summarize my thoughts. I really don't have a key suspect, to be honest. Okay, I read a bit more and I think I got something confirmed. I did mention, I believe, that I had a suspicion about a couple acting together and that the couple was somehow related to the Armstrongs, which is the family that Mr. Ratchet wronged. Mr. Dragomirov said that the grandchild or something of that family or the daughter moved to England and married a British man. And I think we're starting to confirm that I feel like I was on point on that one, because what Poirot is concluding now is that the Countess from Hungary is actually the Armstrong relative, the one who moved to Britain. It's about 50 pages left, and I think that I should wait with reading those, because I feel like the crime and everything will be revealed very soon. So I'm gonna wait with that until I'm home, I think. And I will have a thinker about who I think the murderer is. I have a theory that's starting to form, all right? I'm trying to write it down here. I don't have my chalkboard, I don't care. Every single clue is trying to make it so that it looks like it was a woman and a man who did a thing. But even though we're starting to have our suspects of Countess Andrei, who might be, I guess, the grandchild or somehow related to the Armstrongs, and Mrs. Dragomirov, who was like the godmother, I don't think it's both of them. Like, I'm thinking that it is two women, just because it would be fun if it were two women that acted instead of a man and a woman, because they're making it so obvious. So it would be fun if it were two women that acted together. And I do feel like, obviously we have Countess Andrei, we have Dragomirov, and Dragomirov knows French, so, and they're looking for someone who knows French, and Countess Andrei is looking really suspicious. But I want to throw in Greta Olsson, the Swede. I haven't mentioned her in this vlog, and she's not talked about that much in the book either. But I want to include her. She has not necessarily been suspicious, but she's the one who saw Mr. Ratchet alive last. I want to say it's Greta. I'm gonna throw in Greta, and that it is either Andrei or Dragomirov. I'm saying it's two women at least. As I said, I still have 50 pages to go, but I'm just doing a bit of thinking. And I do agree that someone probably went in before 1:15 and was dressed like a man, and then someone went in afterwards dressed in the red kimono. Yes. Okay, hi. I just got back home from the gym. I'm working on wrapping this one up. I have like 30 pages left, 35, something like that. I no longer think it's either the Countess or Mrs. Dragomirov. I'm still staying with Greta, but not based on any like proper conclusions, more just that we don't know anything about her, so I think she's suspicious. I think she might be related to like one of the nannies or caretakers of the estate. But I still don't think that they acted completely alone. I still think there might be two people, although I'm not sure. Is it another woman? I want it to be another woman. But there are too many men in this one for it to not be a man. I'm staying with Greta. Oh, I'll continue to read, but I'm sticking with Greta at least. Okay, I think it's like 2 chapters left. The current suspect is Mary Debenham. Is it her though? I want to stick with Greta. We'll see. 28 pages to go. Still no conclusion. We'll see if Poirot delivers. Okay, might not be Greta. Although she was like related to the event. Everyone is apparently. But who the frick is it then if it's not Greta? It must be someone who works with ratchets. It's gonna be McQueen. I'm throwing it out there. It's gonna be McQueen. Done. Now, Mr. Poirot. I don't appreciate the condescending tone. Basically, the owner of the train asks him, "Oh, do you know who the killer is?" And Poirot is like, "Yeah, I've known for a while now. It surprises me that you haven't realized it yet." I haven't realized it yet, and I have 20 pages to go. Shut it, Poirot. I'm throwing it out there, McQueen. He hasn't been mentioned for a while. Let's go with McQueen. It's time for the big reveal. They are gathering everyone. So let's see. Oh, God. I need to get better at this. I'm so ashamed. Boo! Boo! I'm upset that this was the reveal. Okay, you know what? I get it, but it is upsetting, and I'm annoyed. Spoilers, I guess, but if you watch this, you have been spoiled about most things. Everyone was the killer, apparently. All 12 of the guests, the passengers that were interviewed, each one had a stab. They were all connected to the Armstrong family. Some of them even belonged to the Armstrong family. Some of them worked for them, were their driver, all of that. Everyone were in on it. But Poirot, being very diplomatic, gives them two possibilities. Either that it was all 12 of them, or that there was like a stranger who jumped on the train, did a killing, and then left. Sure, they acted out of rage, but they acted in revenge for the death of a little girl and the following deaths of like her mother and the nanny and stuff like that. So they are saying that it was a stranger who did it. I like that solution, kind of. I like how poetic it ends in that way. But I'm annoyed considering that I was supposed to figure out who the killer was, and apparently the killer was 12 people. Fucking me, I guess. And I wasn't wrong. I wasn't right, but I wasn't completely wrong. I also did say it was more than 2 people. Or not more than 2 people. I said it was 2 people or more. Okay, I actually like this one. I liked how invested I got. Mainly because of this video that I'm filming, but still. I'm annoyed though. Overall, I did like the book. I'm gonna give it 4 stars. It's not perfect. It's definitely a product of its time as well, considering some of the comments regarding women and stuff, or just looks, I guess. But it has a charm. It is charming. It is quite nice. I liked the setting. I do like a locked room mystery, but I need some revenge. Fingers crossed that I'm gonna do better with Death on the Nile, because this was... whew. Since I went into this completely blind, never having read Agatha Christie, and also not having read any detective books before, I feel like I sort of expected to fail with this one. But now that I do know a tad bit more, I should do better with Death on the Nile. We're gonna have to see though. Hello! I'm sorry that it's a bit dark, but it's Thursday evening. It's Thursday evening. I'm home. I was out with a friend. We had dinner. We drank some sangria. I feel like I'm feeling it. I'm feeling the sangria. What better circumstances than to try and solve some murder? So yeah, I'm gonna pick up Death on the Nile. Gonna properly start it. I started reading it last night, but I was honestly falling asleep and it was like the prologue or something. So I don't really know anything yet. But I'm gonna attempt to read a bit now. Once I've read a bit in it, I will head back to my chalkboard. Fingers crossed that it's not some weird setup where everyone is the killer. Because that's not gonna be fun if that happens twice in one video. So, we'll see about that. Hi, back at the office. It's morning. I'm just waiting for a meeting to start and my workday to officially start. So I'm just catching up a bit on Death on the Nile. I'm on page 70 now. And not much has happened. This is mainly like a setup of the story, I feel like. Quite a big introduction of characters and events before everyone meets up at the same place. But now we're in Egypt. We are at some sort of resort or something. I'm not really keeping up, if I'm honest. There isn't really a case yet. There's a famous character named Lynette, and she recently got married to a man called Simon. But Simon was previously engaged to a woman called Jacqueline, who was a very close friend of Lynette's. So that's sort of part of the setup. There's more characters, but I haven't really gotten to know those characters that well yet. Isn't it a bit beneath him for Poirot to get involved in some celebrity love triangle? Like, why would the book start out with that? Are these people stupid? Poirot is having a conversation with Jacqueline regarding her following or stalking the married couple, and she literally shows him that she's carrying a pistol. Why would you show that to someone? Why would you show that to a detective? Stupid head. There are too many characters. I'm not gonna be able to keep track. We get the whole page where like a bunch of names are mentioned. But like, I'm not gonna be able to keep track of all of these. I'll be honest, I think it's beneath Poirot to be involved in this sort of like petty gossip, celebrity gossip drama, whatever. 116 pages into the book, there hasn't been a crime yet, and all we're getting is gossip. And like, I guess they're setting up the story, but comparing it to Murder on the Orient Express, the crime happened sooner. I don't like this. I'm not a fan of this. This feels so much more just like contemporary, which is fine. I enjoy contemporaries, but like this is supposed to be like a detective book, and I'm like a third through the book, and we don't have a crime yet. Hi, so I've read a bit. Finally, on page 165, we have a crime. It took 45% of the book for the actual mystery to happen. I've read 165 pages and I have barely updated you because there isn't a lot to say about the actual mystery and me trying to solve it because I didn't know what the mystery was until now. So I can't really judge the book so far as it being a detective book, but I do think I don't like the start of this book. Such petty celebrity gossip nonsense, which I enjoy when I'm reading like Taylor Jenkins Reid and stuff. It's not what I expect when I'm reading Poirot. Obviously, it's more exciting when there are like famous people or similar in the story, but when it takes almost 50% of the book in order for something to happen, and like none of the characters are likable, they are all so rude and annoying. Like as far as the book goes, I'm not really enjoying it. It's not bad per se, but it's not entertaining. I'm hoping for some more action now when we finally do have a crime and a mystery. Wish me luck. Hi friends, it's been a while, but we're sitting here again, which means that we are ready to work on the chalkboards again, because we finally, after like 160 something pages, have a mystery. Basically, what is going on in this book? Well, we have a triangle, love triangle type of a drama. There is this one person who is super famous and rich. She is called Lynette. She was a good friend to Jacqueline Miss de Belfort or something. And Jacqueline was engaged to a man called Simon Doyles. Fast forward 2 months and Lynette is the one who's married to Simon, and Jacqueline is very jealous. Lynette and Simon are on their honeymoon, they are in Egypt, and Jacqueline has followed them throughout their trip just to bug them out because she's so pissed and annoyed about how Simon and Lynette treated her. So she's following them, stalking them on their honeymoon, and they are a bit bothered by it. That's sort of the setup. So they were at some hotel in Cairo, but now they are on a boat on the Nile, and there's a bunch of people on that boat. We have Mr. Poirot, of course. There's also Tim Allerton and Mrs. Allerton, so Tim and his mother. We have a woman called Cornelia Robson. We have a doctor. We have Miss Van Schuler, Mr. and Mrs. Ottersborn, Miss Bowers, Colonel Race, James Fanthord, and Andrew Pennington. So there's people on this boat, right? And basically, Poirot was aware about Jacqueline stalking Simon and Lynette, but he wasn't that worried about it. He also knew that Jacqueline had a small gun that she sort of threatened with using, but he never really believed that she would. He more felt sorry for her about the circumstances and the fact that she couldn't let go. One night on this boat, Jacqueline gets a bit too drunk. So there's a few people in like the saloon or something, and we have Mr. Doyles there, Simon, and we have Jacqueline, and we have Cornelia, and then someone else. And Jacqueline gets so drunk and causes an accident by... She starts to threaten Simon, and she picks up her small gun and accidentally shoots him in the knee, or beneath the knee, in the leg. But Simon, instead of causing this huge, making it into a big thing, he tries to keep it quiet, he says like, my wife can't know about this, look after Jacqueline, make sure she doesn't do anything else stupid, because Jacqueline freaks out. She freaks out that she has shot the man she loves. So she starts saying things like, oh, I'm gonna jump off this boat, I'm gonna drown myself. And Simon's like, someone look after her, please, we don't want anything else bad to happen, basically. And the same night, someone murders Lynette. So the mystery starts when Poirot wakes up in the morning being called by a few people, and they tell him that they found Lynette dead in her bed. So let's go through the circumstances of this. How did she die? Well, she was shot in the head. Very convenient, considering that we know that there's a gun on the ship. She was shot up close, just above the ear, and it looks like it's a small bullet that caused it. We're doing chalkboard now. Let's see if I can do it better this time. Lynette. The crime is shot. Okay, close. There's no sign of a fight, so everyone's assuming that she was asleep. But there's a thing that someone has written a letter J on the white wall with Lynette's blood. One of Lynette's fingers is red from the blood. So it looks like someone has staged it. They wanted it to look like Lynette had dipped her own finger in her own blood and written J on the wall, as if she was attempting to give a clue with her last few breaths. Nobody buys this, okay? They all assume it's staged. So someone is trying to set up Jacqueline for the murder. But the thing is, we know since Jacqueline was in trouble after shooting Simon, someone stayed with her the entire night to make sure that she wouldn't do anything stupid. So she has an alibi. Jacqueline has a solid alibi. They assume that the crime happened between 12 a.m. and 2. So let's do it again, 0 to 2. They are assuming that the gun they saw Jacqueline have is the same as the murder weapon. And what's interesting here is now they're asking, okay, where's the gun? What happened to the gun? And I'm starting to have theories here, okay. Once Jacqueline had shot Simon, she dropped the gun and freaked out and just kicked it away. And apparently the gun flew underneath a sofa or a couch. Someone went back to retrieve the gun after the entire incident, and they couldn't find it anymore. There are a few people that were in this room, amongst them Simon and Cornelia and someone else. What's his name? Mr. Fantorp, yeah. They all saw this one the gun being kicked underneath the couch, but when Fanthorpe went to retrieve it, he couldn't find it. They are assuming that it must be someone who was there, who saw where she kicked the gun, that could have gone and picked it up and then shot Lynette. Might have been someone in the room, might have been someone that was hiding but saw it. I have two theories. Once again, I'm gonna assume that there are multiple people in this, one of them being Jacqueline. Jacqueline has a solid alibi, but it could have been somehow planned perhaps that she was gonna cause a scene, drop the gun, kick it under the sofa. Perhaps it was like a deal with someone and someone else would pick up the gun after that, knowing that there would be a gun underneath the sofa. That's one idea I have. So that it was sort of planned that she would kick it there and another person would be aware of this. But also, since Fanthorpe was the one who went to look for the gun and couldn't find it, isn't it possible that he has kept it for himself? Right? He could have lied. Not looking good, Mr. Fanthorpe. Not looking good. Let's put Fanthorpe on the sus list. Who is this man otherwise? I don't know, but he seems a tad bit sketchy. Poirot is questioning him and asks him like, oh, why are you here in Egypt? And Fanthorpe hesitates with telling why he's there. He goes quiet and then he just basically lies, I'm assuming, and says, oh, for pleasure. And Poirot is like, oh, okay, you're here for vacation then, or for holiday. And it's like, yeah, sure. Fanthorpe, I'm not trusting Fanthorpe. Fanthorpe is in on this, but I'm once again gonna assume that it's not one person. I feel like there might be, it is planned somehow, okay? We have a crime, finally, we have some circumstances, shot up close, between 0 and 2 a.m., and we have a suspect. Hey, we're doing good this time. I feel a bit more confident about this one now. I'm just glad that the mystery is starting, because I've like, this has been beneath Mr. Poirot. Why is he involved in this freaking love triangle? Now we get to the good part. Okay, Great. I'm gonna continue to read. Fingers crossed. Like, my aim is to finish this book this weekend, actually. I have about 50% to go. But now that it's finally a mystery, let's do this. Let's figure this one out, okay? Awesome. So we have some updates. Poirot has started with his questionings, and he questioned Lynette's maid. And apparently Lynette was wearing some pearls and jewelry that were quite fancy, and she usually puts them on the bedside table. But when they found her body, there were no pearls on the table, meaning they might suspect the killing being due to a robbery, or it might just be that someone stole the pearls in order to make it look like a robbery. They also mention it's a weird place to do it, a robbery, because obviously if they're all enclosed on this boat, it's quite simple to do like visitations and search through everyone's luggage and so on. So it's probably not a robbery involved in this. I think it's just something to, once again, mislead all suspicions. They also talked about how the way Lynette was killed is the way that Jacqueline, a few days earlier, said that she would kill Lynette. So when she was talking with Poirot and was very upset about the entire situation, she basically said that, oh, I would shoot her in the head or something like that. And that's how Lynette died. But the thing is, when Poirot and Jacqueline had that conversation, someone was listening to that. They saw someone lurking in the shadows. So it's someone that's been hearing about this and is really trying to set Jacqueline up, it looks like. Final thing, no one seems to have heard a shot, like the shot from the gun. No one has heard that at all. I do have a theory though. I'm not making any sense, but I do have a theory. And my theory is that Lynette was actually killed before the shooting accident with Simon and Jacqueline. I'm calling it already. Lynette was already dead. That's what I'm saying. I don't know why. I have nothing that supports this yet, but I feel like that's a good twist. Like, I think that Lynette went to bed, was killed. After that, we had a scene with Simon and Jacqueline. And because of all the commotion regarding that, because that was like open, like in public, I guess, no one would think about checking on Lynette. So I'm gonna say it. I think Lynette was already dead. That means that it still could be Jacqueline or Simon or really anyone else. I don't think we can limit who's responsible. I think everyone can be responsible for Lynette's death. I'm calling it. Okay, I know my hair is looking fantastic. Please ignore that. We're getting some more revelations. The pearls, the jewelry was found. Apparently Mrs. Van Schuler is a bit of a kleptomaniac. So she stole the pearls and her nurse, Miss Bowers, found them and gave them back to Poirot. But apparently the pearls are fake. Hi, please ignore my hair. I'm doing the curly hair thing. I'm gonna update the board a bit because we know we have a missing gun that was later found, and then we had stolen pearls, but the pearls turned out to be fake. So I'm gonna write fake pearls. But main thing that just happened, we have another person murdered. The maid to Lynette, Louise, has been murdered. So we have a double murder going on. And the reason why we believe that Louise was murdered is because she's probably saw who killed Lynette. Her room was beneath the deck, and she said that, oh no, I did not go upstairs, I did not see anyone. That appears to have been a lie. So Louise has been killed as well as Lynette. And Louise was killed with a knife or something sharp. And it also looks sort of like a blackmail type of situation. Looks like it's the same killer though, although they were murdered in different ways, but they sort of have the same motivation, I think. Let's have a look at our sus list. Honestly, we don't know that much about Fanthorpe, other than the fact that I still think he's a liar somehow. But another person that's been acting suspicious is Rosalie, I think is her name. Yeah, Rosalie Otterburns. The thing is, she went outside during that night and threw some liquor bottles into the ocean because her mom's a drinker, so she threw out her mom's drinks. Mrs. Van Schuler saw her, but Rosalie claims that she didn't see anyone else or see anything when she was out that night. Poirot, I think, is suspecting that she's lying, but I think she's lying because she's scared. I don't think she's lying because she did something. Although she does seem to be close to Jacqueline, and I'm not excluding Jacqueline from the case. No, I don't think she's the one who did actual murders, but I still think that Jacqueline definitely plays a role in this entire thing. I think I need to just like put some names on this one. I love when the book does this. I love when the Agatha Christie book sort of summarizes the case for you. So here they summarized the characters and the suspects and put them into two different groups. I do think Pennington, he's somewhat responsible for Lynette or something. I think Andrew Pennington is suspicious because of money. I think Rosalie Otterburn is hiding something. I don't think she did the killing. There's gonna be so many like circumstances and why people are acting the way they are acting and all of that. I'm gonna find a killer, okay? Singular, there's one killer. They might have acted together, but I'm gonna find the one who did a stabby. Obviously it's not Louise, because she did. The Allertons are acting a bit suspect. I'm gonna add both Mrs. and Tim Allerton. Okay, see? We have a few more names now. Working on it. Ferguson is just a douche. I don't like Ferguson at all. He's an awful character and he's so misogynistic and bad and sexist. But I don't think he had anything to do with it, honestly. Cornelia Robson might be in on it, actually. She has a solid alibi. I'm gonna add Cornelia. Another theory of mine is that Jacqueline and Simon are still in a relationship. I think that's a thing. Jacqueline has been following the Doyles, Simon and Lynette, throughout their honeymoon, and she's so upset that Simon ended everything with her and is now with Jacqueline, or is now with Lynette. But Simon, whenever they speak of Jacqueline now, especially after the entire incident where Jacqueline shot him, he speaks about her in such like a passionate and like compassionate way, I guess. He doesn't want her to get the blame for anything or anything like that. So I do think that maybe, because it's all a bit suspicious, I think that Simon is actually still in love with Jacqueline and he might have married Lynette for money, for fame, for something like that. So I'm gonna add Simon's name to this list. It's always the partner, right? Isn't that what I say? It's always like 9 or 8 out of 10 times is the partner. Yeah, I think we have like passionate crime and money and fame as a motivation. Cornelia is just acting a bit sus. Mrs. and Tim Allerton, both acting very sus. Pennington is acting sus and his motivation is money. And Fanthorpe is just also a bit sus. Watch the murderer being none of these people. With my luck, that's how it's gonna go. We're getting closer to the end. I'm on page 277. I think I have about 70 pages to go. We have another murder that happened just in front of their eyes. They are questioning Simon. Mrs. Otterburn, the mother of Rosalie, runs into the room and is like, I know who it is. I know who the murderer is. She's the one with the drinking problem. And she starts telling the story about how she saw someone walk into the maid's, Louise's, room. But when she's just about to say who it was, bang, she gets killed. So Poirot and Race, which is like someone who works on the boat or something, they are companions in this mystery. They instantly run up and try to run towards the direction they think the murder came from, but they can't really find anything. But they do run into Mr. Tim Allerton. He comes from the opposite direction that they believe the killer came from, but I think it's just a setup. I think because also they see that it's a revolver. It's not one of those tiny revolvers now. It's a bigger revolver that belongs to Mr. Pennington. But Poirot intends to pick it up and he asks Tim, do you have any gloves? So that Poirot can pick it up without disturbing fingerprints. And Tim has gloves and gives them to Poirot. But what I think is that Tim had gloves because he was trying to hide his fingerprints on the revolver. That's my suspicion. I think it's Tim. I think it's Tim, and I think Poirot is tricking him by asking if he has gloves. I'm throwing it out there. I still have about like 70, 60 pages to go, but I'm throwing it out there. Tim is involved. Okay, building on my Tim Allerton theory, we just found out that Cornelia actually has some history with the Ridgway family, Lynette's family, because apparently somehow her family was ruined by Lynette's family, and Cornelia's father, I think, died because of the disappointment from that. But despite this, Cornelia is quite a confident, upbeat, happy person, and she doesn't seem to have anything against Lynette. I think this might either be a facade or, throwing out a wild theory, perhaps Tim and Cornelia have a relationship and Tim is taking revenge for Cornelia. Throwing it out there. Might be why he's so upset and grumpy and all of that. Might be some love thing. Also, like, Mr. Ferguson is awful. Turns out he's some type of lord. But he's awful. But he actually proposed to Cornelia out of nowhere. And yeah, sure, she said no because he's a bad person. But I also think she might have said no because she's in love with someone else. Maybe. I'm gonna be way off. They're pointing arrows at everyone except for Tim, and I feel like it's Tim. It's time to figure out who the killer is. My money is currently on Allerton, Tim. I have about 35 pages left. I will keep you posted. Something is going on. Tim is being questioned. At first, I thought that they would only frame him as a thief, but something is going on.
A few moments later.
It's not Tim. Damn it! Okay, I need my sus list. Okay, I'm propping you up against the pillow because we need to discuss this. So, sus list, it's not going too well. They have concluded that it's not Pennington. Yes, he was interested in making sure that his money would be secured, whatever, but he didn't do the killing. It's probably not Tim Allerton as well. He was only after the pearls, but he hasn't actually killed Lynette. There's something sus about Rosalie, but it feels lame to add her name now. I don't think it's Fanthorpe either. It's not gonna be Mrs. Allerton either. Tim was a good guess, damn it. How many pages left? Only a few. About 30. Let's see how this will go. We're getting somewhere, I think. Not sure where though. 20 pages to go, or more like 15. Okay, it's not the doctor. Huh? 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 I'm good. Not that I had the entire answer, but okay. Bruh, okay. I don't know, is this the final thing? I don't know. Right now, Poirot is presenting a theory that it was Simon all along, and as I mentioned, that perhaps Lynette was killed before Simon was shot, because what they're saying is that Jacqueline and Simon staged Simon getting shot in the leg. So when he was alone and everyone was helping Jacqueline when she was all hysteric, Simon, who was not yet shot in the leg, they just staged that, runs off to the cabin where his wife is, kills her, runs back, then shoots himself in the leg, and then pretends to be completely like, yeah, all that. Which then makes me... If this is the case, it makes me happy because I have Simon's name on my list. And I did mention that Lynette might have been murdered before the entire thing. And I also mentioned that there might be two people in this, one of them being Jacqueline. But There's like 10 pages left, so it can't possibly be the answer. He's phrasing this as if it's not the right answer, which makes me sad. And then it apparently, in this theory or hypothesis or perhaps real scenario, Jacqueline then killed the maid. Okay, it was the final thing. I'm never certain with this book, but it seems like it was Simon and Jacqueline. And even though I couldn't have predicted the way things turned out, I did at some point say that it was two, and that it could be Doyle, and that Lynette perhaps died before the entire event in the saloon. Is that kind of right? I'm kind of giving myself the point. Okay, so, okay, nice. What a setup. It wasn't Fanthorpe. It wasn't Cornelia. It wasn't Rosalie, but it was Simon Doyle. Booyah. I feel like I did better than with the first book. Not only did I have the correct killer or the correct suspect on my board, but also I did say that Tim Allerton was suspicious, and he was a thief, and he definitely had a bigger role in the entire thing than one would originally think. So I do feel quite proud of that observation, although it wasn't correct that he was the killer, because he wasn't. I'm gonna do a proper conclusion of this entire adventure. Hi friends, it's time to wrap this video up, because I read and attempted to solve 2 Agatha Christie murders. Let's talk about it. I started with Murder on the Orient Express, and I feel like this is quite an unfair book to start with. If we're talking about the book itself, I enjoy the book. I do enjoy the locked room sort of mystery, which is why like the premise of both of these are quite appealing to me. So I do like the locked room thing. This was quite straightforward, to the point. It had a certain charm. I enjoyed it. No, I did not figure out who the killer was, because the killer was everyone, which is super unfair in my opinion. So this is a bad book to do this experiment with, basically. Because I felt really tricked by the end. Like, I appreciate the end. I like the ending of the book. That's not it. I'm just mad at the ending because I was doing this challenge. I did enjoy this book. I enjoyed meeting Poirot, getting to know him, and this has definitely made me more interested in reading more Agatha Christie books and more detective books and murder mysteries and locked room mysteries. I feel like this could be a vibe for me. I'm quite excited about it. Death on the Nile is more recent in my memory because I just finished it. And the thing with this one, first of all, it takes ages for the actual crime to happen. It's like 160 pages before we get anywhere, before something happens. And there's so much petty gossip and this entire love triangle and stuff that I don't mind in my books, but I don't expect it in my Poirot books, I guess. So I was a bit bummed about the start of the book. It was just quite boring for me. But once the mystery started, it was actually quite entertaining to try and solve this mystery. And it definitely redeemed itself with that. I feel like this one taught me what to look out for in regards to clues and stuff. To like not focus on the actual like the clues and the physical objects and stuff, but focus more on what people are saying and how they are phrasing things and so on. In this one, I definitely learned how Poirot's mind works. By him like thinking logically about like each person's character and how they phrase things and similar. So I did pay more attention to that in this one. Was it a win? Did I figure out who the killer was? I had him on my board. I'm gonna say it was somewhat a win actually. I'm gonna give myself this one, especially considering how mean this one was to me. Because I feel like I was on the proper path of figuring it out. I was a bit misled by a few things, and I perhaps didn't have the complete story, but I definitely had my suspicions about Simon and Jacqueline, and obviously like there's so much about this love triangle. It's gonna be about the love triangle in the end of the book as well. It's not gonna be about something else. The same thing as this one is based a lot around people wanting revenge for a family that was hurt. It starts with love, it's gonna end with love, basically. What did I think of these books? I like them. I definitely want to read more Agatha Christie in the future. I definitely want to read more detective books, more mysteries, more locked room. Like, I want I want to read more books where even the reader gets the clues and are able to figure things out. I would love to get that actually. So if you have any recommendations for books like these, please let me know. And also, if you have any requests or suggestions for other books I could read and make a video like this one for, basically a video where I try to solve the case before the protagonist solves the case, please let me know and share that book, because I would love to do this again. It was so much fun. I definitely read these books a bit more differently than I would otherwise. And yeah, I did enjoy this vlog and these books and this video a lot. So thank you for that. This one I gave 4 stars. I'm thinking I'm gonna give this one 4 stars as well. I was disappointed by how it started, the fact that it was so slow to start with the actually mystery. But once we had the mystery, it was very entertaining. So I think it's like a 4 star. I think I prefer this one, although I like the mystery more in this one. But like writing and character-wise, I think I prefer this one. So yeah, they're very close, but I think Murder on the Orient Express is better. Also, they referred to Murder on the Orient Express in this book. Poirot was a bit reminiscent, and he said that, oh, I was on the Orient Express and was solving a crime. And like, hey, I just read about that. So that was really cool. A nice Easter egg for Christie fans, I guess. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please take care, and I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye!
You gotta just go for it. Don't think about what comes after